Today's webinar will focus on completing the application form for Phase 1 of the SmartMove program. The application is divided into several sections. We'll begin at the top with Section A. Section A, Applicant Information. Applicants should include as much information as possible in Section A, including the name of the city, township, county, special district, or federally recognized tribal government. Include the site address. If no site address is available, enter site coordinates, parcel information, or provide a brief description to identify the site. The applicant's unique identifiers, including the Federal Employer ID number, or FEIN, their NJ Start number, and their SAM Unique Entity number. Please note, DCA will use your SAM ID to confirm that you are not debarred, suspended, or otherwise excluded from or ineligible for participation in federal assistance programs or activities. Also, DCA may need to contact you regarding your application or ask questions about your submission, and for this reason, please include a primary and secondary point of contact within your organization. Along with their names, include those POC's titles, phone numbers, email addresses, and mailing addresses. Lastly, please include a point of contact for your developer, and again, include not just their name, but their title within the developer's organization, phone number, email address, and mailing address. If you have any other notes or relevant information for DCA to know, please include it in the Other Applicable Notes field. Otherwise, let's continue to Section B. Section B, Eligible County. Here, select the HUD-identified or state-identified most impacted and distressed county where the project is located. Please note that this is a threshold requirement, so only those projects located in one of the mid-counties listed in Section B will be eligible for the SmartMove program. Once you make your selection, continue to Section C. Section C, Public Notice Requirement. Here, read through what is needed to comply with the public notice requirement. Applicants must receive public input on their application through either virtual and/or in-person hearings and allow for a 14-day comment period, and this must be completed prior to your application submission. The content of these public hearings must include community development, housing needs, needs for low to moderate income households or LMI households, and how your project addresses those needs. There is no application form entry on this. You will need to attach documentation as proof that you met this public notice requirement. The following documentation must be submitted: documentation of newspaper or another public advertisement with at least 5 days advance notice of the meeting, documentation of the public hearing meeting minutes and sign-in sheets, and a copy of all of the comments received during the required 14-day comment period. Keep in mind that public hearing compliance is also another threshold requirement. Section D, Project Summary. In this section, please include some basic details about the project. What project model will you be using? New construction, infill and scattered site development, or rehab/reconstruction adaptive reuse conversion? Does your project contain at least 6 single-family housing units? Please note that DCA will only award projects that include at least 6 units. Lastly, is the project in an area of reduced risk? To document this, please select either yes or no and include a map using DEP's New Jersey Flood Indicator tool to show the project site is in an area located outside the 50-year floodplain and the inland/coastal climate-adjusted floodplain. Before proceeding to Section E, let's review the map creation process using New Jersey DEP's Flood Indicator tool. In order to meet the requirements of Section D, applicants must attach a map using DEP's New Jersey Flood Indicator tool to show that the project area is in an area located outside the 500-year floodplain and inland coastal climate-adjusted floodplain. To do this, in your internet browser, navigate to https://dep.nj.gov/flood-flood-tool/, or use the link located in Section D of the application. On that page, select the Launch the Flood Indicator Tool button on the right-hand top part of the web page or left-hand bottom portion of the web page. Doing this lands the user on the New Jersey Flood Indicator Tool page. A pop-up window appears. Read the informational and disclaimer information, then select I understand the terms, click OK checkbox, and then click the OK button. On the top left of the screen, enter the address of the project site into the Address Finder search bar. Then make sure that the title Climate Adjusted Flood Elevation and New Jersey Floodplain layers are selected by selecting the Layer List button on the top left part of the screen under the address bar. Select the checkboxes for both NJ Floodplain and Title Climate Adjusted Flood Elevation layers. Then, save an image of your map with all applicable layers selected. You can do this by right-clicking the map and selecting the Print button and selecting Save as PDF. Once complete, save the map using the same naming conventions noted in Section T of the application. For this map, for the Community Affairs Township, save it as Community Affairs_Section D Support. Then, proceed with Section E. Site control and issues with titleship. In Section E, include documentation of site control through any of the documents listed in the application, such as a deed or lease agreement. If you have other documentation that is evidence of site control, please include it. In addition, enter into the space provided when site control was obtained and the expiration of such site control, if applicable, which should be consistent with the documentation provided. And lastly, indicate if there are any issues with ownership or title. If there are none, leave this blank and continue. Section F. Adverse or negative site features. Identify if there are any negative or adverse site features or environmental constraints by selecting yes or no. If you are aware of any negative or adverse site conditions, please include it in the blank space provided. Please note that a Tier 2 environmental review will still be conducted by DCA's team prior to making an award for any project. Section G. Land Use Entitlements, Parcel and Tract Map Information. In this section, answer several questions about the land use and parcel. Applicants must ensure that housing is an eligible land use for the proposed site and no entitlements or restrictive covenants prevent such development. If any zoning changes, lien releases, or other such land use procedures are known, the applicant must outline the steps necessary to make the parcel able to be developed in the space provided. In addition, if there are any requirements to acquire, build, subdivide, or dispose of housing units, outline those requirements and attach any supporting documentation of lot line adjustments, survey irregularities, geotechnical deficiencies, tract maps, and housing development sketches. Next, detail if any easements or right-of-way dedications will be required as part of the subdivision development process, and if so, if those easements or right-of-way dedications will be voluntary or involuntary in nature. Lastly, attach a copy of a full appraisal of the property's market value if the developer will be seeking reimbursement in the budget. Please note that only up to 50% of the value of that land is reimbursable. This is not applicable for any land that is donated by the applicant themselves. Section H. Project Site Selection and Neighborhood Compatibility. All applications must clearly identify the site for their housing development project. Applications should include maps, photographs, and other documentation about the existing site condition, the surrounding land uses, and the availability or need for utilities and public infrastructure to support this proposed housing development. Site selection documents should also provide information about the proximity of the proposed housing units to surrounding amenities and services, such as access to food, health and wellness services, education and cultural sites, transportation, retail, community, and civic facilities. Projects should demonstrate how walkable or accessible transportation is and illustrate walkability on a site plan or map of the area. Section I. Demonstrated experience and construction timeline. For this section, there will be 2 separate webinars posted to the DCA website to cover 2 separate attachments: the implementation plan template and the construction timeline template. The implementation plan template is required. However, the construction timeline is only a sample that applicants are welcome to use. However, applicants may also use their own preferred scheduling or timeline formats. For now, we will skip this section and move on to Section J below. Section J. Project Readiness. Here, indicate the anticipated or actual date of plan completion. A project is shovel-ready when planning and engineering is advanced enough that, with sufficient funding, construction can begin within 6 months after issuance of an award and can be completed within 36 months from contract execution. Indicate if the project is considered shovel-ready and provide a description of the status of the project and attach any supporting evidence demonstrating a shovel-ready project. Section K. Resilient Designs. To receive the point allotment for this criterion, use the space provided in the application to describe how the project incorporates one or more resilient construction solutions, including those designed to harden and protect residential structures from hazards, leaving households and communities more resilient and prepared for future climate events. Resilient solutions use approaches that include but are not limited to solar power generation and storage, green roofs, on-site stormwater management, durable and storm-resistant exterior building materials, etc. Use the second space provided in this section to really hone in on any resilient infrastructure to be used within the development. The program encourages green and resilient measures that promote long-term resiliency and sustainability. Specific examples of green infrastructure include, but are not limited to, permeable and porous pavements, bioswales, rainwater harvesting, downspout disconnection, bioretention cells to hold water on site, and many others. Section L. Innovative Designs. Implementation of innovative designs and typologies in the development process, where possible, are going to get you the most points in this section. To receive the point allotment for this criterion, the application must describe how the project incorporates one or more innovative construction solutions designed to demonstrate new, innovative, creative solutions to complex problems of durable and affordable housing. Such innovative design examples include, but are not limited to, structural 3D printed homes, geothermal heating, net zero housing, modular construction, adaptive reuse such as storage container housing, etc. Section M, Market Analysis. Next, you'll need to complete and attach a market analysis. Requirements for the market analysis are included on page 9 of the application. The market analysis will be used to document the local need in the community for additional affordable housing units. Through the market analysis, applicants may demonstrate the reduction in the affordable housing stock as a result of the disaster or buyout programs that are designed to reduce future risk. Market analyses must support the proposed development design and housing types and sizes outlined in your site plans and schematics. The analysis must be completed by a certified licensed market analyst. Section N, Sources and Uses. For this separate attachment, a separate webinar will be posted to the DCA website. For now, let's skip this section and move on to Section O below. Section O, Community Engagement and Outreach. Applications will be scored on their ability to demonstrate that meaningful community outreach and engagement led to project design based on local housing needs assessments and community input. To do so, you need to highlight the strategies or other activities that you employed that helped bring legitimacy to the project and overall success in the implementation within the community this project seeks to serve. What stakeholders were involved in the planning process, such as those from disadvantaged communities, community leaders, religious or nonprofit organizations, etc. Section P, Site Plans and Schematics. Be sure to attach all of your site plans and schematics to your application. You'll need to save this as a separate document. Instructions for how to name your separate attachments are included at Section S. At this stage, your site plans don't need to be finalized just quite yet, as DCA may request modifications if your project is selected. However, please provide site plans and schematics that outline details of the development, including a rendering of the site, a breakdown of total housing units proposed, broken down by bedroom size, and attached versus detached units, and include details of the housing units themselves, including floor plans, photos, features, and elevations. Section Q, Leveraging Partnerships. Utilizing a variety of funding sources and services allows applicants to best leverage CDBG DR resources. Here, detail any available resources in designing your project scope and budget, such as support from nonprofit or private partners. Using the space provided, describe your partners in this project and what their roles in the project are, the expected outcomes of these partnerships, how they will contribute to project implementation, and the anticipated benefits of these partnerships. Applicants should consider any available resources in designing their project scope and budget, such as support from nonprofit and private lenders. Section R, Acknowledgements and Certifications. In Section R, please read closely all of the certifications and acknowledgements in this section before signing, printing, and dating your name. This section includes important information about not only your participation in the program, but requirements of your developer, such as green building standards, an ENERGY STAR, citizen participation requirements, etc. Be sure to include the name of the government entity or authorizing body that you represent. For example, if you are submitting an application on behalf of Community Affairs Township, enter that into the blank space provided. Section S, Submission Instructions. Before submitting, make sure you have reviewed your application and completed Section T, your application checklist. In order to properly submit your application, please save each attachment with the correct naming convention for consistency. For example, if your applicant's name is Community Affairs Township, you would want to name your application document as communityaffairs_applicationform.pdf. For documents that support a particular section of the application, such as the public notice documentation, you would want to name your public notice compliance documentation from Section C as communityaffairs_section-c-support.pdf, and so on. Once you have done this for each and every document that you will submit with your application, zip them all using a zip file program, such as WinZip, and name the zip file as your name, SMP for SmartMove Program, .zip. For example, Community Affairs Township would name their zip file as communityaffairs.smp.zip. Lastly, when you are ready to submit, attach your zip file to an email addressed to smartmove@dca.nj.gov. Use the subject line SMP application for applicant name, then hit send. Section T, Attachment Checklist. Lastly, to ensure that you have included everything you need to with your application, an attachment checklist is included on page 13 of the application. DCA asks that you complete this checklist and include it with your application after ensuring that all of the attachments listed as applicable are included. Check all applicable boxes before completing this checklist.